Hi, and welcome back to Fall Festival. Today, we're going to talk about innovation in hand quilting, free motion and ruler work, and automation.
Our first guest is going to be Liz, and she is going to talk to us all about hand quilting.
So Liz, tell us about the history of hand quilting.
Oh, hand quilting's been around forever. Pilgrims, before that, that's pretty much all they did was hand quilting. They didn't have what we have now. So I have some fun facts for you. So it pretty much started with no tools. They had a needle.
That they made out of bone.
Yes, they did. I was going to get to that. Bone is all they had.
I didn't know that.
That's crazy, yeah.
Yep.
Huh.
So they'd have the bone needle, and they'd make their own thread out of fibers of whatever they had. Then it turned into more the needle and thread you see today. And then from there, they'd get carpenters and any woodworkers to build little wooden frames that they could balance on chairs, legs, different things like that.
It helped with tension a whole lot, I bet.
So but members of the family would make them. They could purchase them, just different things like that. This one's fun. Pioneer women, what they would do is they'd have their husbands, family members, something like that, build their wooden frame. And they were big enough for their beds that they would actually hang them from the rafters during the day. So as the family's going about their business, they'd be quilting, hanging from the rafters with these wooden things. And then at the end of the night, when they needed more space for everyone to sleep, they would take down the ropes and put them away.
That's so cool.
And bring them back out. I just learned that fact. That was really cool for me. Another
It's like
one,
storing your cutie frame behind a table.
like take the cutie frame and hide it away. So fun little fact, they would actually use their hands to measure. That's how they made their quilt blocks. So say I just spread out my hand, I wanted a bigger block. All I would do is spread it out, cut it out.
Get your width.
You can even
That's kind of
test
genius.
it. This one, I was like, oh, I just want the palm of my hand. So I just use the palm of my hand.
That's so smart.
They're
And that's a
not
good way to
straight.
get even measurements.
And this one is just fingers. Like I want little strips for different things. That's how they would come up with the different shapes. As they would just use their hands or objects that they had. Oh, I want a circle. So they'd cut around. So that's pretty much the history is like, and from then to now has changed so much. We went from hanging them from the rafters and quilting them that way to what we have now. From then, we don't use bone anymore, obviously. So we have, I have my little sample that I'm going to turn into mug rugs. You use little tiny Chanel needles. You don't want very big ones. The reason being is you don't want to have to quilt so much at one time.
Yeah.
So of course your thread's going to be stronger. It's going to be thicker, something tight. You don't need to do double layers. So I just tension it with my hand and you just running stitch it. That's it. That's all you need to do is just like 3 running stitches. And now I'm at a corner, so I'll pop it up. That's it. That's your hand quilting at that point. And it's just a running stitch. So we've come from trying all these different things to cutting different sizes to that's it.
Yeah.
It's like the
You can follow
stitch in the ditch.
It's a stitch in the ditch with a running stitch. That's
Yeah.
it.
Where do you see hand quilting going in the future?
Well, we don't have to use hands anymore. We've got the cool rulers and the tools. And honestly, I see it sticking around kind of similar to what it is now, maybe a little bit better needles, thimbles, thread, things like that. But it's such a pastime with your family that I see it sticking around for a long time.
So do you see an opportunity for hand quilting and machine quilting to ever combine?
I do it all the time.
Yeah.
So I'll handwork like any applique that I have on a project because I don't like sticking those under my needle because you get gunky.
Yeah.
But I'll hand stitch some of that stuff and then I'll machine quilt around it. So I'll kind of do a dual thing. I mean, mostly for smaller projects because I haven't quite jumped into the bigger stuff for that yet. But my hand quilting, I prefer to look at it than use it.
The only thing I do by hand anymore is my binding because I like that invisible stitch.
Love binding by hand, not gonna lie. I stitch it on, flip it over. I just think the look of it is so pretty.
Yeah, there's a look like hand quilting that you can't get with machines.
Exactly.
And it is absolutely stunning, like seeing the modern quilts with hand quilting.
I think it's beautiful.
Right?
I would like to learn a little bit more modern techniques because I pieced my first quilt together when it was pieced, and then I hand quilted on a giant wooden frame. That is how I learned. I didn't learn on machines or anything like that. I learned how to hand quilt before I learned how to machine quilt. Now I'm teaching my son how to hand quilt.
That's awesome.
And quilt. But the hand quilting to me, I just want to pass it down because it's something that started so long ago and is all the way up to now. Like, let's just keep it going.
Well, thank you so much for sharing your story with us. We really appreciate having you, Liz.
No problem. It was so much fun. So thanks.
Wasn't it so great to hear from Liz about all of the hand quilting techniques?
Yes, I did not know needles started out as bones.
You didn't?
No, it's so fun.
Yeah, Egyptians used to do stuff like that. Like, it's ancient history.
It's crazy. Well, next we are going to talk to Angelique all about free motion quilting and ruler work. We are here with Angelique. Angelique, can you tell us a little bit about the history of free motion?
Yeah, sure. So back in the day, it was all mechanical.
Yeah.
So you just kind of, no regulation, nothing like that. You just kind of had to go for it. And then eventually we started to get things like the pantographs, and then we created that pantograph perfect system with the plastic thing to trace. And then something I still actually do, as kind of part of that history, is like drawing directly on the quilts with chalk. And now I love the erasable markers and the pens for that. So yeah, it's kind of where we started with that, with the machines.
What do you think about the modernization of machines?
I think it really opens up quilting to more people. The Sure Stitch Elite, it's like when you're first starting and you're like a little disappointed because your stitches aren't even and everything like that, that Sure Stitch takes that pressure off. All the free motion kits that we have available to get you practicing all these patterns and stuff like that really makes a huge difference, because then you don't feel like you're going to ruin a project.
Right.
So having that quilter's compass with, the lines and the loops and all those things, it just builds that confidence.
And I feel like with the modernization of machines too, like the different stitch modes we have, a lot of people are, what do you need those for? Well, they all have a different purpose. And the more I've been quilting and just doing different styles of free motion, the more I realize that all of them really do have their purpose. And it's really nice to be able to switch from like manual to cruise to precise, or even like, I didn't even realize how important a large basting stitch is.
Oh, I love the basting stitch.
When normally I would just baste my quilt and then I would have little puckers along the edge. And then when I started using our basting stitch, I have less puckering at the edge.
Yeah.
So what do you think free motion and ruler work will look like in the future?
I can't imagine it's going to change much. I mean, I think new rulers for new designs, but as far as like the basic concept, you holding your ruler and just having, ways to make it comfortable to do that, probably more ergonomic would be my best guess. More fun ways to make some of these things where you want to do them, but outside of that, I think it's still going to be a major contributor in how people do their quilts.
And don't forget, in regards to gripping, True Grips work on long arm rulers too. It's not just your regular rulers, and those make a huge difference.
I feel like with free motion and ruler work, like your mind is your limit. Like there are so many ways to use them. So like Angela Walters and her style of free motion, and then you have Natalia Bonner and the way she uses rulers and free motion to just like make these beautiful works of art. There are so many different styles of free motion quilting. It just really depends on what is the look that you want to go for in your quilt.
The
But I
limit
think
does
it's
not
amazing.
exist.
No,
Right.
literally.
And that's what I like about free motion, is because you are getting to personalize that quilt with either, the designs that you pick, how tight you want to do those designs, the colors of the thread, if you want it to be seen or not seen. If you want to do it in zones or edge to edge, it's really up to you. I think it's just a matter of letting go and finding what your style is and not worrying so much what somebody else's style is.
Comparison is the thief of joy. And there will always be somebody better than you. I like to say, like, my free motion, I like it to look more like just random doodles. And I don't want it to be perfect. That's why I don't love ruler work per se, because with ruler work, at least for me, if I mess up, I notice it. But with free motion, if I mess up, hey, nobody knows except for me, because it's supposed to look more doodly and artsy, right?
Right.
Do you think that automation will kill free motion?
Oh, absolutely not. I think that automation is just one more way for the quilter to express themselves. And then you have the ability, as we get older, maybe we get a little shakier, we don't have the energy that we had before. You can still draw out your designs, and then it just does the stitching for you. The creativity is still there. It's not like, going to Walmart and just getting something off the shelf. You still have to design it, decide what you want, place it, and I think it's just one more way that you can combine. You can do your free motion, you can do your ruler work, you can do sections that are automated. I think it's just a fun way to express yourself.
Right?
One more tool in your tool belt.
Absolutely.
It really is.
And the more tools that you have, the better you're going to become.
Yeah, 100%.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Angelique.
Sure.
We appreciate your insights.
All right, awesome.
It was so great to hear Angelique's perspective on free motion and ruler work. I honestly loved hearing from her and all of her little tidbits about the Grace Company and our available products. It was so great to hear that.
It really was. And I'm excited to talk to Carla all about her views on automation.
Yes,
And
Carla
the
is
way
the automation
it's gonna go.
queen.
Yes.
Well, next, our guest is going to be Carla, here to talk about automation. So we have Carla here with us. So Carla, tell us a little bit about the history of automation.
All right, automation about 2010, Jim and his brilliant mind thought, there's a direction that we want to move the company. At that time, there weren't a lot of automated systems that customers could afford. So we hired some engineers and they engineered our first motor plate and the screen. It wasn't a touch screen, it was a button screen that you moved through the process of quilting edge to edge. And then it's just transformed into what it is today, but we're still innovating.
What is unique about Quilter's Creative Touch versus some other softwares in the market?
What's unique, well, I think it's unique, is that we get to put our own spin on what's happening. And we want to develop the software so it's better, easier, and more intuitive and what you need to move forward. We came out with QCT 6, okay? It's the edge-to-edge feature because most of you start out with edge-to-edge designs. One of the innovative things I think is really great about our automation is we were the first ones to bring it to the hoop frame users. We noticed that the hoop frame users, they don't have a lot of space, but they want that precise, exact quilting that, everybody else gets with automations. It's not cheating. Okay? You guys have heard that all the time. Oh, you're cheating if you're using automation.
Whoa.
It's not.
There are some designs that you literally cannot get with free motion, no matter how hard you try it. But with automation, you can create these beautiful designs that still take a lot of effort and love.
Right.
I feel like one thing you're really good at is drawing out your own designs for automation,
Right.
which
I am.
our people at home can do that too. Right?
Yeah, so with the Pro version, we've added that tier in there with a pattern CAD. And it allows you to create and design your own patterns. Now, I'm getting to the point where I don't need to draw it out. I can just think about it and draw it out, using the automation and the software. So it's a lot of fun, and it just expands your quilting experience. That's really what it is.
And I feel like a lot of people love to mix free motion with automation.
Oh, absolutely.
To just create their own design and be an artist within their quilt.
I use it all the time because I really feel like I need that precise look, especially if it's hanging up here or you're using it on air. I really want it to look like it's not as homemade. But anyway, I still like that homemade look. I'm not getting as nitpicky, or maybe I am. Maybe I'm getting a little more nitpicky because I'm the age that I am and I expect a little bit more from me. Yeah. Not to say that we don't love free motion, because we all do.
We really do.
But the automation is a lot of fun and it's worth looking into.
Well, thank you so much, Carla. We appreciate you joining us today.
Thanks for letting me.
Those conversations were so interesting, and I feel like I learned a whole lot just about the history of automation, handworking, free motion, and where it's gonna go.
And honestly, there was stuff that exists now that I didn't even know about, right? So it was cool to hear all of this perspectives of the history, where we are now, and where we want to go.
And I feel like we are just 5 people who only know so much, and all the people in our audience right now in the comments, please tell us your thoughts on hand quilting, automation. I just want to know what y'all thoughts are as quilters.
We want to hear from you, right? Hear your perspective, see your works of art, all of your quilts, share in the comments on our social media. We can't wait to hear from you. Thanks so much for joining us. We hope you enjoy the rest of your fall festival.